I've been obsessed with this little e-reader here that's been taking over the market by storm, but it's come out of nowhere. It's topped the e-reader charts, coming in at number 11 on the Amazon bestsellers list and number 2 on the hot new releases list right after some Kindles. And for some reason, I can't seem to pronounce it correctly. This is the extinct eInk whatever it is, this X4 model is all the rage nowadays, and I'm starting to get why. Now, I'm already an avid fan of my Kindle for several years now, and it's pretty much replaced all my paper books. So when I saw that this tiny e-reader was gaining traction, I knew I had to see what the hubbub was about. Is this thing better than a full-size Kindle? Despite being less than a quarter of the size, why are these things so popular? Is it actually life-changing or just a marketing gimmick? So this is it, my eInk X4. And I got this a couple months ago. The price ranges between $55 and $70 depending on the time of the year and where you get it from. AliExpress tends to be more affordable, but Amazon has a great return policy in case you end up getting one with a broken screen, which does happen more often than we'd like it to. And it's a tiny e-reader, like smaller than your palm tiny. And yes, all you can do is read books on it. That's it. There's no AI, no bookstore, and definitely no scrolling apps. It does have Wi-Fi though. When I first got it, all I thought was, that's cute. But over the past few months, it's completely overhauled the way that I read books and even the way that I use my phone. But despite its popularity and how life-changing it can be, it's not for everyone. Before I explain why, let's back it up a bit. It arrives in a pretty plain black box. Inside, there's the device itself, a couple magnetic rings in case your phone doesn't have a MagSafe ring. I put mine in my notebook holder for an easy reading and notes combo. It also comes with a thin screen protector, no harm in protection, right? And a USB-C cable. That's pretty much it. Oh, there's documentation too, haha. But you're not here for that. This is probably your 15th eInk X4 video you're watching. So let's jump into what matters, which is what it's actually like to use day to day. So when you first pick it up, it's small, it's thin, and it's a little slippery too. It's not as fragile as you might think. It's pretty sturdy and resistant to bending even if you apply some force. The thing is like 4 inches diagonally. Now I've 3D printed a case for mine and I would highly recommend it, but we'll get to that later. You'll see 2 around here since my husband liked mine so much that he stole it, and then I had to get myself another one. Before turning it on the first time, the instructions say to charge it for at least 30 minutes. Otherwise, it doesn't work and you might think you have a broken one. And after that, I turned it on. All the controls on it really threw me for a loop. There's no touchscreen, which is a good and a bad thing. Instead, the device uses physical buttons. Now, you think that there's only 2 buttons on the front, but they're actually rocker buttons. So each button has 2 inputs, one on each side. You've got the on-off on the side, the up-down on also the side, the left-right, and the back-forward. Now, it takes a while to get used to, but once you do, it's really natural. Also, you don't have to worry about accidentally changing the page, but it's bad because, well, how are you gonna type in your Wi-Fi password? On the side, there is a slot for a micro SD card for holding all your precious book files. It comes with a 32GB card, which is more than enough. But in the event you want to store an unlimited amount of books, you can expand it to 512, although that is pretty pricey nowadays. On the back side, you can't see it, but there's a magnet which lets you connect it to your phone. The idea is useful in theory, but when I tried it, it sort of just awkwardly sticks on while blocking both of my cameras. I guess this only fits the Pro Max phones. But I find myself never using this anyways. The X4 is so lightweight that I just pocket it and leave my phone in my bag or on my desk or on my dresser. They did launch a newer model called the X3 that's a lot smaller, and that fits average size phones, but you trade off some quality of life things like USB-C charging and the size. But I'm getting ahead of myself there. The nice buttons and the convenient size don't mean anything if the user experience of the device actually sucks. So let's talk about that. The X4 stock OS leaves a lot to be desired. Honestly, at this point, I don't remember too much about it other than it was a bit clunky and hard to navigate. But this is where the magic of this little device comes into play. This thing lets you install completely different firmwares on it, which change how it looks and how you interact with it. And the most popular one by far is this thing called Crosspoint. You'll see the magic too when you read their GitHub page. Crosspoint is an open source e-reader firmware. It's community built, fully hackable, free forever, and it's maintained by a growing community of developers and readers who believe your device should do what you want, not what a manufacturer decided for you. That's amazing. Another place that a pocket e-reader comes in clutch is on a very long flight, much like the one Jake and I took recently to China. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever live down saying "wo jiao shu jiao" when I meant to order boiled dumplings. That's where the partner of this video, Rosetta Stone Sapphire, can save me from some embarrassment on my next trip. You also may be thinking, what's Rosetta Stone? Rosetta Stone is a toolkit for learning a language. You log in online and you choose from a variety of lessons and activities to help you learn. So Rosetta Stone Sapphire is the brand new platform from Rosetta Stone. It's packed with helpful features. It has this fun activity called chat missions, which helps you learn new languages within a conversational context. Lots of language apps and courses simply teach you a lot of words or phrases that don't come in naturally in conversation. I mean, think about English. The proper way to teach it has you saying things like, "Is it not a nice day today?" when everyone in the real world would say, "Isn't." That's the kind of thing Rosetta Stone Sapphire helps you understand when you use chat missions. And with a highly tonal language like Mandarin, an accurate accent is crucial. That's where true accent really helps out. With it, I get to hear native pronunciation and get feedback right away on my own. Now, the next time I travel to China, I won't be left scratching my head when my server brings me a mattress instead of delicious dumplings. If you've been nervous to start your language learning journey, this is your sign to get started. Get access to 25 different languages in one membership today. Rosetta Stone Sapphire starts at just $15 through our exclusive link in the description below. Now you might be thinking, installing a foreign piece of software onto your brand new e-reading device? That's sort of scary, right? And while I agree, they make the instructions and the actual execution of it so simple. Also, if you mess up, you can always just install the original firmware back on, and it's like nothing ever happened. Their firmware and installer is constantly getting updated, so it's even easier now than when I did it a couple months ago. Basically, all you do is go into the web installer, which is a web page. You plug your device in via USB-C, and then you turn it on. After that, you just pick which version you want to flash and press go. So there's a couple versions, but you'll most likely want the official stable version, which is the first option. Then there's a couple beta versions if you want bleeding edge latest updates that could have some problems. And they even offer the stock firmware if you decide Crosspoint isn't for you. Easy peasy. Now the world is your oyster. And as of recently, Xting recently announced that they are officially working with Crosspoint. If that means someday in the future, all of these come with Crosspoint by default, that would be freaking awesome. So now this is what it looks like. At the top right, there's the battery percentage, although you can turn this off if you don't like it. There's a couple settings that we'll walk through. At the top is the book that you're currently reading. Then you can browse files, which literally just browses the files on your micro SD card to select a book. You can make folders for more organization, like alphabetical, genre, or author name, or whatever you want. I've done none of that, so mine's just a really long list of books. You long hold to change pages and single press to move up and down. Then there's recent books, which is really helpful if you like to jump between a couple books at a single time. Now there's also file transfer. We'll go in depth on this later since it's really cool. And settings, which is self-explanatory. You can change a lot of different things like the margin, the font, how the text is justified, and a bunch more. So let's address the biggest question. You're all thinking, how do you get books on this thing? I thought the same thing, especially since all my ebooks exist on Kindle, where you literally just buy it and suddenly it's in your Kindle library. Well, this is not that simple. Fear not though, if you have spent an ungodly amount of money on Kindle books like me. Crosspoint works with different file types, primarily EPUBs and text files, but not PDFs. And apparently there is a way to convert Kindle books to EPUBs, which is the book format that works on e-readers like this one and a bunch of others. But the process itself is beyond the scope of the channel. Google is your friend here. You can also buy EPUBs from stores like Rakuten and strip the DRM to upload onto your X4. There's also stores that sell DRM-free ebooks too, but the selection may be limited. Again, Google is your friend. Okay, now that you have your books, how do you transfer your books from your laptop over to your X4? Well, first you turn on file transfer from the menu, then you basically connect to your X4 from your other device, like your laptop. Then you open the URL on your laptop, crosspoint.local, and it's there. There's a beautiful web page that pops up. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can upload your files from there. It just does it all over the air. Now, I hear there's new custom fonts as features, and you can upload that too, and even screensavers when it's in sleep mode, but I like to keep it simple. The other option is to connect your X4 to the local Wi-Fi, but that involves painstakingly entering your Wi-Fi password by using the buttons like in the olden days. It's a slow process. But now, you can read. I've just mass loaded a bunch of books all at once, but you can also do just one at a time when you finish each book. Sort of like picking up a new paperback and tossing it in your backpack, except in these tiny things. So the custom firmware and the device is pretty nice and all, but none of that matters if it doesn't do what it was meant to do, and that's reading. Let's get to the reading experience, because this has been the best and least expected part of this whole thing. Like many others, I bought this to just try it out as a genuine curiosity. And also like others, I thought, why would you want a dedicated e-reader when you can just download the Kindle app on your phone? I've done the Kindle app route before, and that's always fallen into disaster. It'll start out great, but then the cursed urge to swipe up and open another app shows up. I'm not the only one that gets that feeling, right? Usually, and I know this is not a good thing, let's say I'm filling up my water bottle at the fridge, and I'll just pull out my phone out and start browsing YouTube or Reddit. Not a good thing, I know. And yes, I'm also aware of the irony of you learning about this product through a YouTube video. But since the X4 is a completely different device from your phone, it feels like a real shift since you physically put down your phone to turn on something else. Sort of like you don't feel like working until you show up to work, or you don't want to go out on a run until you've stepped outside. Your phone always has that temptation, and it requires so much mental discipline to separate the phone scrolling from usefulness. But the X4 gives you satisfaction too, in a similar way consuming social media does. Because the screen is so small, you can get through a full page in like 30 seconds. It feels so manageable. Instead of reading a quarter of a page and having to remember where you stopped for next time, you literally just end up on a new page. So after the first few days, I found myself basically bringing it with me everywhere. It slipped into my sling, my purse, my backpack, and even my pockets. And I barely have any pockets. It's just that small. Now I can pull out my X4, read a couple pages, and it doesn't sound like much, just a couple pages. But over the course of a week and a half of consistent pickups, I'll finish a whole book. That's a full book that would have never gotten read otherwise. It's the TikTokification of reading. It's bite-sized, easy to open and start, and the battery life is so good that even maintaining it is easy. You can start reading when you wait for your pasta to finish cooking, or when you're waiting for your shower to heat up. All those weird times where you pick up your phone, you could be reading. Every time you flip the page, it's like hat on the back. Keep going, you're doing it. Guess what? Reading is fun! Jokes aside, I do really love reading, and this just makes it more accessible than a huge Kindle. It's also a lot easier to put down and go back to doing what you need to, since you're just reading a couple pages. Surprisingly, the text is crispy. It doesn't have a weird ghosting effect like on a lot of e-ink things. In that way, it's pretty similar to a Kindle. Now, it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. The biggest issue I've had, and I wouldn't have found out if I didn't buy two of them, is that these things can be pretty fragile. The second one I ordered came with a pre-broken screen already. Thankfully, Amazon offered me a full refund once I returned it, and these ones, the first and third ones, were completely fine. But it is an e-ink device that's super thin, so you can't just go sitting on it. So for this reason, I do recommend buying off Amazon, since returning a broken device is so easy. And the second thing is a good and a bad thing. It has no backlight, which means you can't see it in the dark at all. It also means there's no lighting options, like how Kindle has color temperature and brightness controls, but that also means it will have great battery life. And the third is that because it's not a Kindle device, it doesn't sync with all my other devices, like my Paperwhite or Jake's Kindle. It's not the end of the world, since I just now segment my non-fiction books to these and my fiction books to my Kindle, since I check out books from the library and save money. There are ways to sync with other devices using Calibre and OPDS. OPDS is the Open Publication Distribution System that lets you transfer publications like books, manga, and comics between different apps and devices. For example, if you have books with co-reader and an X4, you could sync them using these methods. Unfortunately, I haven't tried it since I do primarily use a Kindle as my other device. There are a bunch of users who say that Calibre plus an X4 is a great combo if you want to manage a bajillion books. To keep it simple though, connecting to Crosspoint's file transfer wirelessly works wonders so far. It's a good thing. There are more complicated, more tinkery ways you could transfer and sync and do all this stuff, but for the purpose of just reading more, transferring a couple books to it, maybe even one at a time, that's enough. It's not like you're gonna toss more than one book in your backpack, you know? So after a couple months of micro reading and slowly making my way through my nonfiction reading list, I do see the value of this thing. Despite it being a little bit silly, a little bit gimmicky, there's really no other device like it. Even the smallest Kindle is still a tad bit too big to carry around every day. This thing fits in my pockets, and I have female pockets. The X4 is also really underpowered, but that's sort of what you want. It removes all the stuff that gets blasted into your eyeballs through your phone, and it also turns on relatively fast. You can jump straight into reading without waiting too long, and I'd even say it makes for a great gift. But it's not for everyone, since it does involve some level of tinkering and techiness. But if you're willing to put in a little work, they make great devices. Now, I wouldn't give it to my mom or a young kid, but maybe a teenager or a college student would love it. So if you're always trying to read more instead of consuming content like this video, check these things out. If you want more eInk videos, I tested a ton of eInk writing tablets here to see if they're even worth it nowadays. They're so expensive still. Bye. Read some books.